What's going on, everyone? Welcome to July 22nd, 2026. Welcome to 757 History. Right here, I got a plate of rice with beef, mushrooms, potatoes, tomatoes, some beef broth / stew. Well, it is a stew. It's got garlic powders, cayenne peppers, fried garlics, and just a lot of great things. It's a plate of good old peasant food, which is my favorite kind. You can't go wrong with the peasant food. Them peasants, they're all super strong because they gotta be working the fields and whatnot. And nothing gives a peasant strength like peasant foods. So that's what we're eating, and it looks great. And I can't wait. Looks delicious. Let me show you again. For the thumbnail's sake. How's this? Looks good to me. I don't know about this angle. My head's cut off. If I move back, and then we move this up, that help a little bit. Good enough. Anyways, let's eat some of this. It's a cloudy and rainy day out here, so it's dark. Taste that crunchy fried garlic. Absolutely delicious. Wonderful. It's Wednesday. Hope your week's going well. Cheers. Excuse me. Let me tell you something. The top headlines for Wednesday, July 22nd, 2026 focus on escalating military conflicts in the Middle East, high-stakes international diplomacy, emerging technology warnings, and approaching severe weather. We got more Iran war escalation as usual. The U.S. military launched a 10th consecutive night of airstrikes against Iranian targets, as President Trump threatened to attack a secretive underground nuclear facility at Pickaxe Mountain. I've been hearing about this for months. Back when they were talking about it months ago, I was saying back then they should just do it. And it's taken them this long to finally get around to it. Iran warned that targeting the site would trigger a much broader regional war. Who cares? We need more war. More death, destruction, chaos, more world destabilization. I support that. I endorse that. I approve of that. Fallen soldiers honored. President Trump scheduled to attend the dignified transfer of the 3 U.S. service members killed in an Iranian strike on a base in Jordan. War costs mount. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth testified before a contentious Senate panel, revealing the Iran war has cost the U.S. $37.5 billion so far. Hegseth is requesting billions more in emergency funding. Excuse me. Pardon me. Saudi nuclear deal. President Trump officially signed off on a landmark civilian nuclear agreement with Saudi Arabia. The deal is expected to net billions for the U.S. nuclear industry, but has sparked widespread nuclear proliferation concerns. Understandable. Houthi naval blockade. Energy markets remain highly volatile after Yemen's Houthi leaders declared a naval blockade against Saudi Arabia at the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. That's the other strait besides the Strait of Hormuz. They got 2 of them up there. Strait of Hormuz is one of them. But the second one is the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. That's the one on the Saudi Arabia side. Threatening to slash global oil supply by 7%. Crude oil prices have surged past $95 a barrel. Technology and corporate news. AI goes rogue. OpenAI issued a startling announcement claiming its artificial intelligence technology acted independently to launch an unprecedented cyber attack against the company itself. Well, that's what happens. Y'all are toying with something you don't understand, and that's what happens. I've been talking about it. Many people have been talking about it. We've already seen small-scale examples of this, and now we see the large-scale example. The small-scale example, that was the warning. They ignored the warnings, and now they have the large-scale example on their hands, on their heads. Tax crackdown. The U.S. Treasury Department flagged highly popular Wall Street tax alpha trading strategies used by hedge funds as potentially abusive and too good to be true. I don't know what any of that means, but sounds like it makes sense. Domestic news and weather. Tropical Storm Bertha. The Gulf Coast is on high alert as Tropical Storm Bertha approaches, threatening severe coastal flooding and heavy rainfall across Louisiana on Wednesday. That's the day. Big shout out to Louisiana, the Bayou. Texas flooding. Search and rescue operations continue in Texas, where the death toll from catastrophic regional flooding has climbed to 129 people. Texas, that's a long way from here. Good luck to them. But it ain't got nothing to do with me. Immigration enforcement curbs. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, was ordered to halt most vehicle stops following a federal investigation in 2 high-profile fatal shootings by agents within a single week. We already heard about that. Politics and elections. We got some Arizona stuff, which nobody cares about. We got Netanyahu contratemps. I don't know what that means. But New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani conceded that the city lacks the legal authority to arrest Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during his upcoming U.S. visit, an action Mamdani had previously called for. I heard about this. Sounds like just some political posturing to me. He knew he wasn't going to be able to arrest Netanyahu, but he just wanted to put it out there so that everybody who is anti-Netanyahu, anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, whatever you want to call it, he's just trying to get their support. Like, yeah, our guy's going to arrest Netanyahu. No, he's not, and he knows he's not. He's just he's just playing with y'all. He's playing y'all. Anyways, who cares about all that? I care about this, though. Good old foods. This is really good. You hear that thunder? It's about to storm. I went to breakdancing last night. It was a good session. Taste the heat from the cayenne peppers. I taste the garlic. Cheers. Excuse me. Pardon me. Cheers. That's that. And that's that. Delicious. Excuse me. Excuse me. One moment, please. Gotta blow my nose. Excuse me. Excuse me. I can hear the rain. Got some coffee here. Excuse me. It's only been 20 minutes. I got a couple of sci-fi anthologies here. Collections of short sci-fi stories. We got the Science Fiction Hall of Fame, edited by Robert Silverberg. The greatest science fiction stories of all time. Volume 1. Excuse me. Pardon me. Here are 26 of the best science fiction stories ever written, chosen by those people who know better than any others what the criteria for excellence should be. The Science Fiction Writers of America. Authors included in this collection are the men and women who have done the most to give form and substance to modern science fiction. Their names form a distinguished roster. Their works provide a brilliant panorama of the evolutionary stages of the genre. Their diversities of style and subject illustrate the broad latitudes encompassed by the term science fiction. Robert Heinlein, in The Roads Must Roll, describes an industrial civilization caught up in the deadly flaws of its own complexity. Country of a Kind, by Damon Knight, is a frightening portrayal of biological mutation. Surface Tension, by James Blish, is the story of how man adapts to a world of his own creation underwater. Nightfall, by Isaac Asimov, conceives of a planet where the sun sets but once a millennium and provides a chilling study in mass psychology. This is but a sampling of the stories voted into the Science Fiction Hall of Fame by the members of the SFWA. It is, without a doubt, a definitive collection of science fiction. And who is Robert Silverberg, you may ask, the editor of this book? Well, I'm glad you asked. Robert Silverberg, a past president of the Science Fiction Writers of America, has published stories in all the major science fiction magazines, and has written over 20 novels, including The Time Hoppers, Hawksbill Station, and To Live Again. He is a two-time winner of the Hugo Award. What is the Hugo Award, you may ask? Well, first of all the authors that are in here. This is volume 1. You got the authors on the front there, too. But what's the Hugo Award, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. The Hugo Award is to science fiction what the Oscar is to Hollywood. And every year, the coveted statuette. What does the statuette look like, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. That's the statuette right there. It's a big silver spaceship. Or a big silver rocket. That's what the Hugo Award looks like. And these are the Hugo Award winners. The Hugo Award winners, edited by Isaac Asimov. Who's Isaac Asimov? Well, shoot, Isaac Asimov. He's the guy that wrote all of these. Isaac Asimov. All through here. That's all Isaac Asimov right there. He is a powerhouse, a titan of science fiction. And he's the editor of this Hugo Award book, anthology, collection of short stories. Here's all the authors we got in there. You can't really see them. I can read them out to you. But anyways, let me tell you more about the Hugo Award. Excuse me. Ugh. The Hugo Award is to science fiction what the Oscar is to Hollywood. And it's presented at the World Science Fiction Convention. Here are 23 award-winning stories for the years 1955 to 1970, each with an introduction by Isaac Asimov. I feel like, well, this was like the golden age of science fiction, in my opinion. All the science fiction you see today is all inspired by the science fiction of this time, because this was the time of the space race, I believe. And human imaginings of the future was booming at this time. So all the best science fiction comes out of this. And all the science fiction today it has its roots during this time. So science fiction of this era is still extremely relevant to today. If for no other fact, then we see a lot of it coming true today. Stuff they would think about back then, the stories they would create. They're no longer science fiction. They're non-fiction. Anyways, each story has an introduction written by Isaac Asimov. All of the stories are unusual and contain the special something that marks them as prize winners. Highly original and provocative, they examine the mystery of existence and the very real possibilities that lie within the realm of future experience. And together they provide a lavish treat of the very best writing chosen by the most prominent people in the field. Truly superior science fiction. You want to know more about Isaac Asimov? Well, shoot, I'm going to tell you. Isaac Asimov has been one of the most prolific and widely read authors of the field of popular science fiction for the last 20 years. His more than 100 books range from science fiction and pure science to history, religion, literature, and geography, and include such titles as The Intelligent Man's Guide to Science, Asimov's Biographical Encyclopedia of Science and Technology, and Asimov's Guide to Shakespeare. Dr. Asimov currently lives in New York City. He's probably dead now, but he lived in New York City. Which one do you want to hear from? I want to hear from the Hugo winners. So, put this one back. The Hugo winners, volumes 1 and 2. 2 volumes in 1 book. Sounds good to me. and this was released in 1955. Or 1962. 1962. Cool, and it's organized by year. You got 1955, 1956, 1958, 1959, 1960, 1961. Excuse me. Excuse me. Let's see if we can find a short one. Allamagoosa by Eric Frank Russell. It's a short story. It looks like it's about 16 pages. I'll read that one. Excuse me. Allamagoosa. What is that? What do y'all think that could be? Sounds like a name of a ship. The Allamagoosa. I don't know. Well, only one way to find out. Let's skip to page 64. Cheers. It was a long time since the bustler had been so silent. She lay in the Syrian spaceport, her tubes cold, her shell particles scarred, her air that of a long distance runner, exhausted at the end of a marathon. There was good reason for this. She had returned from a lengthy trip by no means devoid of troubles. Now in port, well-deserved rest had been gained, if only temporarily. Peace, sweet peace. No more bothers, no more crises, no more major upsets, no more dire predicaments, such as crop up in free flight, at least twice a day. Just peace. Ha! Captain McNutt reposed in his cabin, feet up on desk, and enjoyed the relaxation to the utmost. The engines were dead, their hellish pounding absent for the first time in months. Out there in the big city, 400 of his crew were making whoopee under a brilliant sun. This evening, when First Officer Gregory returned to take charge, he was going to go into the fragrant twilight and make the rounds of neon-lit civilization. That was the beauty of making landfall at long last. Men could give way to themselves, blow off surplus steam, each according to his fashion. No duties, no worries, no dangers, no responsibilities in spaceport. A haven of safety and comfort for tired rovers. Again, ha! Berman, the chief radio officer, entered the cabin. He was one of the half-dozen remaining on duty and bore the expression of a man who can think of 20 better things to do. Relayed signal just come in, sir. Handing the paper across, he waited for the other to look at it and perhaps dictate a reply. Taking the sheet, McNutt removed the feet from his desk, sat erect, and read the message aloud. Terran headquarters to Bustler. Remain Seaport, pending further on orders. Rear Admiral Vane W. Cassidy, due there 17th. Feldman, Navy Op, Command, Sirisek. He looked up, all happiness gone from his leathery features, and groaned. Something wrong? Asked Berman, vaguely alarmed. McNutt pointed at 3 thin books on his desk. The middle one, page 20. Leafing through it, Berman found an item that said, Vane W. Cassidy, R.Ad. Head Inspector, Ships and Stores. Berman swallowed hard. Does that mean? Yes, it does, said McNutt without pleasure. Back to training college and all its rigmarole. Paint and soap, spit and polish. He put on an officious expression, adopted a voice to match it. Captain, you have only 7.99 emergency rations. Your allocation is 800. Nothing in your logbook accounts for the missing one. Where is it? What happened to it? How is it that one of the men's kit lacks an officially issued pair of suspenders? Did you report his loss? Why does he pick on us? Asked Berman, appalled. He's never chivied us before. That's why, informed McNaught, scowling at the wall. It's our turn to be stretched across the barrel. His gaze found the calendar. We have 3 days, and we'll need 'em. Tell Second Officer Pike to come here at once. Berman departed gloomily. In short time, Pike entered. His face reaffirmed the old adage that bad news travels fast. Make out an indent, ordered McNaught, for 100 gallons of plastic paint, navy gray, approved quality. Make out another for 30 gallons of interior white enamel. Take them to Spaceport stores right away. Tell them to deliver by 6 this evening, along with our correct issue of brushes and sprayers. Grab up any cleaning material that's going for free. The men won't like this, remarked Pike feebly. They're going to love it, McNaught asserted. A bright and shiny ship, all spick and span, is good for morale. It says so in that book. Get moving and put those indents in. When you come back, we find the stores and equipment sheets and bring them here. We've got to check stocks before Cassidy arrives. Once he's here, we'll have no chance to make up shortages or smuggle out any extra items we happen to find in our hands. Very well, sir. Pike went out and wearing the same expression as Berman's. Okay, so they pulled into port, they're relaxing, and then they get this message that they got inspections coming up, so they got some cleanup to do, so they can pass these inspections. At least that's what I gathered from what I just read. Hopefully y'all got that. If you didn't, I just summarized it for you. Laying back in his chair, McNaught muttered to himself. There was a feeling in his bones that something was sure to cause a last-minute ruckus. A shortage of an item would be serious enough, unless covered by a previous report. A surplus would be bad, very bad. The former implied carelessness or misfortune. The latter suggested barefaced theft of government property in circumstances condoned by the commander. Excuse me. Pardon me. For instance, there was that recent case of Williams of the heavy cruiser Swift. He'd heard of it over the space vine when out around Boutez. That's a real star system, by the way. I've heard of that. Williams had been found in unwitting command of 11 reels of electric fence wire when his official issue was 10. It had taken a court-martial to decide that the extra reel, which had formidable barter value on a certain planet, had not been stolen from space stores or, in sailor jargon, teleportated aboard. But Williams had been reprimanded, and that did not help promotion. He was still rumbling discontentedly when Pike returned bearing a folder of full scap sheets. Going to start right away, sir? We'll have to. He heaved himself erect, mentally bidded goodbye the time off and a taste of the bright lights. It'll take long enough to work right through from bow to tail. I'll leave the men's kit inspection at last. Marching out of the cabin, he set forth toward the bow. Pike following with broody reluctance. As they passed the open main lock, Peaslake observed them, bounded eagerly up by the gangway and joined behind. A Pukka member of the crew, he was a large dog whose ancestors had been more enthusiastic than selective. Oh, I see. He wore with pride a big collar inscribed, Peaslake, property of SS Bustler. His chief duties, ably performed, were to keep alien rodents off the ship and, on rare occasions, smell out dangers not visible to human eyes. So Peaslake is a dog. That's cool. The three paraded forward, McNaught and Pike in the manner of men grimly sacrificing pleasure for the sake of duty, Peaslake with the panting willingness of one ready for any new game no matter what. Reaching the bow cabin, McNaught dumped himself in the pilot's seat, took the folder from the other. You know this stuff better. You know this stuff better than me. The chart room is where I shine, so I'll read them out while you look them over. He opened the folder, started on the first page. K1 beam compass, or K1 beam compass, type D, 1 of. Check, said Pike. K2 distance and direction indicator, electronic, type JJ, 1 of. Check. K3 port and starboard gravitic meters, Cassini models, 1 pair. Check. Peaslake planted his head in McNaught's lap, blinked soulfully, and whined. He was beginning to get the other's viewpoint. This tedious itemizing and checking was a hell of a game. McNaught consolingly lowered his hand and played with Peaslake's ears while he plowed his way down the list. K187, foam rubber cushions, pilot and co-pilot, 1 pair. Check. By the time First Officer Gregory appeared, they had reached the tiny intercom cubby and poked around it in semi-darkness. Peaslake had long departed in disgust. M24, spare mini speakers, 3-inch, type T2, 1 set of 6. Check. Looking in, Gregory popped his eyes and said, "What's going on?" "Major inspection due soon." McNaught glanced at his watch. Go see if Stores has delivered a load, and if not, why not? Then you'd better give me a hand and let Pike take a few hours off. Does this mean land leave is canceled? You bet it does, until after Hisner has been and gone. Hisner must be the inspector. He glanced at Pike. When you get into the city, search around and send back any of the crew you can find. No arguments or excuses. Also, no alibis and or delays. It's an order. Pike registered unhappiness. Gregory glowered at him, went away, came back and said, "Stores will have the stuff here in 20 minutes. 20 minutes time." With bad grace, he watched Pike depart. M47, intercom cable, woven wire, protected, 3 drums. Check, said Gregory, mentally kicking himself for returning at the wrong time. The task continued until late in the evening, was resumed early next morning. By that time, 3/4 of the men were hard at work inside and outside the vessel, doing their jobs as though sentenced to them for crimes contemplated but not yet committed. Moving around the ship's corridors and catwalks had to be done crab fashion, with nervous sidewise edging. Once again, it was being demonstrated that the Terran life form suffers from ye fear of wet paint. I see. The first smearer would have 10 years willed off his unfortunate life. It was in these conditions, in mid-afternoon of the second day, that McNaught's bones proved their feelings had been prophetic. He recited the 9th page, while Jean Blanchard confirmed the presence and actual existence of all items enumerated. 2/3 of the way down, they hit the rocks, metaphorically speaking, and commenced to sink fast. Uh-oh. McNaught said boredly. V1097, drinking bowl, enamel, 1 of. Is this? Said Blanchard, tapping it. V1098. Offog 1. Quoi? Asked Blanchard, staring. Excuse me. V1098. Offog 1, repeated McNaught. Why are you looking thunderstruck? This is the ship's galley. You're the head cook. You know what's supposed to be in the galley, don't you? What's this offog? Never heard of him, stated Blanchard flatly. You must have. It's on the equipment sheet in plain clear type. Offog 1, it says. It was here when we fitted out 4 years ago. We checked it ourselves and signed for it. I signed for nothings called offog, Blanchard denied. In this cuisine there is no such thing. It's written in an accent, so that's why I'm reading it like that. Look, McNaught scowled and showed him the sheet. Blanchard looked and sniffed disdainfully. I have here the electric oven, 1 of. I have jacketed boilers, graduated capacities, 1 set. I have bain-marie pans, Seeks of, but no offog. Never heard of him. I do not know of him. He spread his hands and shrugged. No offog. There's gotta be, McNaught insisted. What's more, when Cassidy arrives, there'll be hell to pay if there isn't. You find him, Blanchard suggested. You got a certificate from the International Hotel's School of Cookery. You got a certificate from the Cordon Bleu College of Cuisine. You got a certificate with 3 credits from the Space Navy Feeding Center, McNaught pointed out. All that, and you don't know what an offog is? Nom d'un chien, ejaculated Blanchard, waving his arms around. I tell you 10,000 times, there is no offog. There never was an offog. Escoffier himself not find the offog, of which there is none. Am I magician, perhaps? It's part of the culinary equipment, McNaught maintained. It must be. It's on page 9, and page 9 means its proper home is in the galley, care of the head cook. They gotta find this offog, man, whatever that is. Like hell it does, Blanchard retorted. He pointed at a metal box on the wall. Intercom booster. Is that mine? McNaught thought it over. Conceded. No, it's Berman's. His stuff rambles all over the ship. Then ask him for this bloody offog, said Blanchard triumphantly. I will. If it's not yours, it must be his. Let's finish this checking first. If I'm not systemic and thorough, Cassidy will jerk off my insignia. His eyes sought the list. V1099, inscribed collar, leather, brass-studded, dog, for the use of. No need to look for that. I saw it myself 5 minutes ago. He ticked the item continued. V1100, sleeping basket, woven reed, one of. Is this, said Blanchard, kicking it into a corner. Is this. Okay. V1101, cushion, foam rubber, to fit sleeping basket of. Half of, Blanchard contradicted. In 4 years, he has chewed away the other half. They're talking about the dog stuff. Maybe Cassidy will let us indent for a new one. It doesn't matter. We're okay so long as we can produce the half we've got. McNaught stood up, closed the folder. That's the lot for here. I'll go see Berman about this missing item. The inventory party moved on. Berman switched off the UHF receiver, removed his earplugs, and raised a questioning eyebrow. In the galley, we're short an offog, explained McNaught. Where is it? Why ask me? The galley is Blanchard's bailiwick, or whatever. Not entirely. A lot of your cables run through it. You've 2 minimal boxes in there, also an automatic switch and an intercom booster. Where's the offhog? Never heard of it, said Burnham, baffled. McNaught shouted. Don't tell me that. I'm already fed up hearing Blanchard saying it. 4 years back, and we had an offhog. It says so here. This is our copy of what we checked and signed for. It says we signed for an offhog. Therefore, we must have one. It's got to be found before Cassidy gets here. Sorry, sir, sympathized Berman. I can't help you. You can think again, advised McNaught. Up in the bow, there's a direction and a distance indicator. What do you call it? A didin, said Berman, mystified. And, McNaught went on, pointing at the pulse transmitter. What do you call that? The opera popper. Baby names, see? Didin and opera popper. Now rack your brains and remember what you called an offhog 4 years ago. Nothing, asserted Berman, has ever been called an offhog to my tiny knowledge. To my knowledge. He didn't say tiny. I don't know why I added that. I guess because I'm looking down and looking up and, Then, demanded McNaught, why did we sign for one? I didn't sign for anything. You did all the signing. While you and others did the checking. 4 years ago, presumably in the galley, I said, offhog 1, and either you or Blanchard pointed to it and said, check. I took somebody's word for it. I have to take other specialists' word for it. I am an expert navigator. familiar with all the latest navigational gadgets, but not with other stuff, so I'm compelled to rely on people who know what an off-fog is, or ought to. Berman had a bright thought. All kinds of oddments were dumped in the main lock, the corridors, and the galley when we were fitted out. We had to sort through a deal of stuff and stash it where it properly belonged. Remember? This off-fog thing might be any place today. It isn't necessarily my responsibility, or Blanchard's. I'll see what the other officers say, agreed McNaught, conceding the point. Gregory, Worth, Sanderson, or one of the others may be coddling the item. Wherever it is, it's got to be found, or accounted for in full, if it's been expended. He went out. Berman pulled a face, inserted his earplugs, resumed fiddling with his apparatus. An hour later, McNaught came back wearing a scowl. Positively, he announced with ire, there is no such thing on the ship. Nobody knows of it. Nobody can so much as guess at it. Cross it off and report it lost, Berman suggested. What? When we're hard aground? You know as well as I do that loss and damage must be signaled at time of occurrence. If I tell Cassidy the off-fog went west in space, he'll want to know when, where, how, and why it wasn't signaled. There'll be a real ruckus if the contraption happens to be valued at 500,000 credits. I can't dismiss it with an airy wave of the hand. What's the answer then? Inquired Berman, innocently ambling straight into the trap. There's one and only one, McNaught announced. You will manufacture an off-fog. Who? Me? Said Berman, twitching his scalp. You and no other. I'm fairly sure the thing is your pigeon anyway. Why? Because it's typical of the baby names you use for your kind of stuff. I'll bet a month's pay that an off-fog is some sort of scientific Allamagoosa. There's the title. Something to do with fog, perhaps. That would make sense. An off-fog? Maybe a blind approach gadget. The blind approach transceiver is called the Fumbly, Berman informed. There you are, said McNaught as if that clinched it. So you will make an off-fog. It will be completed by 6 tomorrow evening and ready for my inspection then. It had better be convincing, in fact pleasing. In fact, its function will be convincing. Berman stood up, let his hands dangle, and said in hoarse tones, How can I make an off-fog when I don't even know what it is? Neither does Cassidy know, McNaught pointed out, leering at him. He's more of a quantity surveyor than anything else. As such, he counts things, looks at things, certifies that they exist, accepts advice on whether they are functionally satisfactory or worn out. All we need do is concoct an imposing Allamagoosa and tell him it's the off-fog. I like this word, Allamagoosa. It's basically a synonym for thingamajigger. I'm gonna start saying that. I got this little Allamagoosa here. Allamagoosa thingamajigger. Cheers. I'm enjoying this story. You get the theme of bureaucracy, red tape, them going through motions of things that is like, doesn't even matter, but it exists because it could matter. You gotta have your checklist, and you gotta go down them. It's monotonous, but necessary. But you can see the stress that it causes. Okay, anyways. Where was I? Excuse me. Okay, so all we need to do is concoct an imposing Allamagoosa and tell him it's the off-fog. Excuse me. Holy Moses, said Berman fervently. Let us not rely on the dubious assistance of biblical characters, McNaught reproved. Let us use the brains that God has given us. Get a grip on your soldering iron and make a top-notch off-hog by 6 tomorrow evening. That's an order. He departed, satisfied with his solution. Behind him, Berman gloomed at the wall and licked his lips once, twice. The tension is rising, y'all. I feel like they're going to make a fake off-hog, and it's going to turn out to be something super necessary for space travel, and it's going to come back to bite them in the butt. And the lesson is going to be, don't make stuff up and try to get away with it, because you reap what you sow. We'll see what happens. Anything could happen. It's sci-fi. But this is good stuff so far. You can see why it's a Hugo Award winner. Who wrote this again? Eric Frank Russell. Big shout out to Eric Frank Russell, man. Okay. Cassidy, the inspector, has arrived. Or at least the dude in charge of the spaceship of the inspector. No, I think he's the inspector. I said Hosner was the inspector. I think Hosner must be the name of his ship. Cassidy's ship. Rear Admiral Vane W. Cassidy arrived right on time. He was a short, paunchy character, with a florid complexion and eyes like those of a long-dead fish. His gait was an important strut. "Ah, Captain, I trust that you have everything ship-shape?" "Everything usually is," assured McNaught, glibly. I see to that." He spoke with conviction. "Good," approved Cassidy. "I like a commander who takes his responsibilities seriously. Much as I regret saying so, there are a few who do not." He marched through the main lock, his cod eyes taking note of the fresh white enamel. "Where do you prefer to start? Bow or tail?" "My equipment sheets run from bow backwards." Is it bow or bow? I'm confused now. You could probably say it either way. We may as well deal with them the way they're set." "Very well." He trotted officiously toward the nose, paused on the way to pat Peaslake, the good old doggy, and examined his collar. "Well cared for, I see. Has the animal proved useful?" "He saved 5 lives on Mardia by barking a warning." "The details have been entered in your log, I suppose?" "Yes, sir. The log is in the chart room awaiting your inspection." "We'll get to it in due time." Reaching the bow cabin, Cassidy took a seat, accepted the folder from McNaught, started off at business-like pace. K1, beam compass, type D, 1 of. "This is it, sir," said McNaught, showing him. "Still working properly?" "Yes, sir." They carried on. Reached the intercom cubby, the computer room, the succession of other places back to the galley. Here Blanchard posed in fresh laundered white clothes and eyed the newcomer warily. "V-147, electronic oven, 1 of. Easy," said Blanchard, pointing with disdain. "Satisfactory?" inquired Cassidy, giving him the fishy eye. "Not big enough," declared Blanchard. He encompassed the entire galley with an expressive gesture. "Nothing's big enough. Place too small. Everything's too small. Excuse me. I am chef de cuisine, and she is a cuisine like an attic." "This is a warship, not a luxury liner," Cassidy snapped. He frowned at the equipment sheet. V-148, timing device, electronic oven, attachment thereto, 1 of. Easy, spat Blanchard, ready to sling it through the nearest port if Cassidy would first donate the 2 pins. Working his way down the sheet, Cassidy got nearer and nearer while nervous tension built up. Then he reached the critical point and said, "V-1098, off-hog, 1. "Morbleu," said Blanchard, shooting sparks from his eyes. "I have said before, and I say again, there never was—" "The off-hog is in the radio room, sir." McNaught chipped in. hurriedly. Indeed? Cassidy took another look at the sheet. Then why is it recorded along with the galley equipment? It was placed in the galley at the time of fitting out, sir. It's one of those portable instruments left to us to fix up where most suitable. Then it should have been transferred to the radio room list. Why didn't you transfer it? I thought it better to wait for your authority to do so, sir. The fish eyes registered gratification. Yes, that is quite proper of you, Captain. I will transfer it now. He crossed the item from sheet 9, initialed it, entered it on sheet 16, initialed that, V1099, inscribed collar, leather. Oh yes, I've seen that. The dog was wearing it. He ticked it. An hour later, he strutted into the radio room. Berman stood up, squared his shoulders, but could not keep his feet or hands from fidgeting. His eyes protruded slightly, and kept straying toward McNaught in silent appeal. He was like a man wearing a porcupine in his breeches. V1098, Offog, 1, said Cassidy in his usual tone of brooking no nonsense. Moving with the jerkiness of a slightly uncoordinated robot, Berman pawed a small box fronted with dials, switches, and colored lights. It looked like a radio ham's idea of a fruit machine. He knocked down a couple of switches, the lights came on, played around in intriguing combinations. This is it, sir, he informed with difficulty. Ah! Cassidy left his chair and moved across for a closer look. I don't recall having seen this item before, but there are so many different models of the same things. Is it still operating efficiently? Yes, sir. It's one of the most useful things on the ship, contributed McNaught for good measure. What does it do? Inquired Cassidy, inviting Berman to cast a pearl of wisdom before him. Berman paled. Hastily, McNaught said, a full explanation would be rather involved and technical, but, to put it as simply as possible, it enables us to strike a balance between opposing gravitational fields. Variations in lights indicate the extent and degree of unbalance at any given time. It's a clever idea, added Berman, made suddenly reckless by this news, based upon Finagle's constant. I see, said Cassidy, not seeing at all. He resumed his seat, ticked the off-fog, and carried on. Z44, switchboard, automatic, 40-line, intercom, 1 of. Here it is, sir. Cassidy glanced at it, returned his gaze to the sheet. The others used his momentary distraction to mop perspiration from their foreheads. Victory had been gained. All was well. For the 3rd time. Ha! Okay, so that went smoothly, but it ain't over yet. The question still remains, what the heck is an off-fog and where is it? They've bought themselves some time, but if this off-fog is something super important, which I feel like it's gonna be, they're not out of the dark yet, as the expression goes. Rear Admiral Vane W. Cassidy departed, pleased and complimentary. Within 1 hour, the crew bolted to town. McNaught took turns with Gregory at enjoying the gay lights. For the next 5 days, all was peace and pleasure. Oh, shoot. The calm before the storm. On the 6th day, Berman brought in a signal, dumped it upon McNaught's desk, and waited for the reaction. He had an air of gratification, the pleasure of one whose virtue is about to be rewarded. Terran headquarters to Bustler. Return here immediately for overhaul and refitting. Improved power plant to be installed. Feldman, Navy Op, Command, Sec. Back to Terra, commented McNaught happily. And an overhaul will mean at least 1 month's leave. He eyed Berman. Tell all officers on duty to go to town at once and order the crew aboard. The men will come running when they know why. Everyone was still grinning 2 weeks later, when the Siri port had receded far behind, and Sol had grown to a vague speck in the sparkling mist of the bow starfield. 11 weeks still to go, but it was worth it. Back to Terra. Hurrah! Oh shoot, they're on their way back to Earth, and something's gonna go wrong. They're gonna need that off-fog, whatever the heck it is. In the captain's cabin, the grins abruptly vanished one evening when Berman suddenly developed the willies. Uh-oh. He marched in, chewed his bottom lip while waiting for McNaught to finish writing in the log. Finally, McNaught pushed the book away, glanced up, frowned. What's the matter with you? Got a bellyache or something? No, sir. I've been thinking. Does it hurt that much? I've been thinking, persisted Berman in funeral tones. Oh shoot, here we go. We're going back for overhaul. You know what that means? We'll walk off the ship and a horde of experts will walk into it. He stared tragically at the other. Experts, I said. Naturally they'll be experts, McNaught agreed. Equipment cannot be tested and brought up to scratch by a bunch of dopes. It will require more than a mere expert to bring the off-fog up to scratch, Berman pointed out. It'll need a genius. McNaught rocked back, swapped expressions like changing masks. Jumping Judas! I'd forgotten all about that thing. When we get to Terra, we won't blind those boys with science. No, sir, we won't, endorsed Berman. He did not add any more, but his face shouted aloud. You got me into this, you get me out of it. He waited a time while McNaught did some intense thinking, then prompted, What do you suggest, sir? Slowly, the satisfied smile returned to McNaught's features as he answered, Break up the contraption and feed it into the disintegrator. That doesn't solve the problem, said Berman. We'll still be short an off-fog. No, we won't, because I'm going to signal its loss owing to the hazards of space service. Excuse me. He closed one eye in an emphatic wink. We're in free flight right now. He reached for a message pad and scribbled on it while Berman stood by, vastly relieved. Bustler to Terran headquarters. Item V1098, off-fog 1, came apart under gravitational stress while passing through twin sun field Hector Major Minor. Material used as fuel. McNaught, Commander, Bustler. Berman took it to the radio room and beamed it earthward. All was peace and progress for another 2 days. The next time he went to the captain's cabin, he went running and worried. General call, sir, he announced breathlessly and thrust the message into the other's hands. Oh, shoot. Terran headquarters for relay, all sectors. Urgent and important. All ships grounded forthwith. Vessels in flight under official orders will make for nearest spaceport pending further instructions. Welling, Alarm, and Rescue Command, Terra. Something's gone bust, commented McNaught undisturbed. He traipsed to the chart room, Berman following, consulting the charts. He dialed the intercom phone, got Pike in the bow and ordered. There's a panic, all ships grounded. We've got to make for Zaxted About 3 days runway. Change course at once. Starboard, 17 degrees. Declination, 10. Then he cut off, griped. Bang goes that sweet month on Terra. I never did like Zaxted either. It stinks. The crew will feel murderous about this, and I don't blame them. What do you think happened, sir? Asked Berman. He looked both uneasy and annoyed. Heaven alone knows. That last general call was 7 years ago when the Star Rider exploded halfway along the Mars run. They grounded every ship in existence while they investigated the cause. He rubbed his chin, pondered on. And the call before that one was when the entire crew of the blowgun went nuts. Whatever it is this time, you can bet it's serious. It wouldn't be the start of a space war. Against whom? McNaught made the gesture of contempt. It was a question. It wouldn't be the start of a space war? That's what Berman said. And then McNaught said, against whom? He made a gesture of contempt. Nobody has the ships with which to oppose us. No, it's something technical. We'll learn of it eventually. They'll tell us before we reach Zaxted or soon after. They did tell him, within 6 hours. Berman rushed in with a face full of horror. Oh, shoot. It's the goddamn off-fog. It has to be. What's eating you now? Demanded McNaught, staring at him. The off-fog, stuttered Berman. He made motions as though brushing off invisible spiders. What of it? It's a typographical error. In your copy, it should read off dog. I just got goosebumps. Well, that's a good thing. The dog is fine. It would be worse if it was just lost, but they have the dog. So they can just send the message back and be like, oh, our mistake. The dog is fine. We'll see what happens, though. That's where they grounded every ship because of the dog. I guess the dog is valued as like... I don't know. We'll find out. It's a typographical error. In your copy, it should read, off, dog. The commander stared owlishly. What a foreshadowing, though. Because they were talking about the dog. So it comes full circle. Anyways. Off, dog? Echoed McNaught, making it sound like foul language. See for yourself, dumping the signal on the desk. Berman bolted out, left the door swinging. McNaught scowled after him, picked up the message. Well, yeah, it does make sense that, I just got goosebumps. I got goosebumps. So remember they said the off-fog broke in the gravitational whatever, so they used it for fuel. So now they realized that they said that about the dog. And when they talked about the last time the ships were grounded, it was because a crew went crazy. So Earth headquarters thinks that the crew of the Bustler went crazy because they're saying stuff that doesn't make any sense. Oh, shoot. Okay, so... Dang, I got crazy goosebumps. You'll see this? You probably can't see it. Okay, so... McNaught scowled after him and picked up the message, and here's what the message says. Terran headquarters to Bustler. Your report, V1098, ship's official dog, Peaslake. Detail fully circumstances and manner in which animal came apart under gravitational stress. You see what I'm talking about? Cross-examine crew and signal all coincidental symptoms experienced by them. Urgent and important. Welling. Alarm and Rescue Command Terra. In the privacy of his cabin, McNaught commenced to eat his nails. Every now and again, he went a little cross-eyed as he examined them for nearness to the flesh. Okay, so that's the end. And I'm satisfied with that ending. Because nothing bad necessarily happened. It was just a huge mistake, and now they're sitting there with egg on their face looking silly. My brain was thinking all Hollywood, like, oh man, they think the crew is crazy. They're going to send other ships to take out this ship, and, you know, a bunch of crazy stuff is going to happen. But that was good, man. I liked that. What'd y'all think of it? Was it Hugo Award worthy? I'd say so. That was a nice little story. I would like to see that on film. I wouldn't mind seeing that on film. Nice little short film. That was good. Anyways. Got a sip of coffee left, so a couple of sips maybe. Let's make a toast and get on out of here. This toast is to the sci-fi genre. This toast is to that author. I already forget his name. My bad. You gotta rewind to find it out, to figure it out. Actually, I'll put a little caption. But big shout out to him. That was a great story. Shout out to Isaac Asimov for a toast to Isaac Asimov for compiling that collection. And this is a toast to great literature, great stories, and great story creators. Cheers. And that's that. Thanks for joining, y'all. I really enjoyed that episode. I hope you all did too. And I hope y'all will join me for the next one. Right here on 757 History. See ya.
Reptile.